Hey guys, welcome into our channel here. As always, your host Clinton Yoder, my lovely co-host here, Corey McClendon. We're excited to bring you another episode here on Yoders Talk. We have a great one here today, episode 2 of season 4. Corey, you ready to get this one underway? We got a special guest coming on today.
Yeah, very intriguing interview. Miss Sam Crawford from the Light podcast joins us today, and we're going to talk just a little about she's originally from the Netherlands, and she moved over here when she was 19, and just such a cool episode. So stick with us. It's going to be a great one.
Yes, it is. Guys, thank you for sticking with us here today, and welcome in to another episode of Yoders Talk. Felt like it was a spirit dream. And anyway, I woke up at 8 o'clock to a text message that was, to me, it's why we are where we are today. And I had no idea. There was no connection. There was nothing there. Woke up to this text message, and I realized this, that God was waiting on Clinton to get done.
It's honestly, my heart breaks for culture. It's cultural Christianity. And it's the fact that, well, Grandma always went to church, and then, like me growing up, my dad was a preacher and a pastor. The only time I got to miss church was if, like, I had a limb amputated.
Hey guys, welcome back into the podcast. Man, we're excited to bring another episode here for y'all today. Corey, you ready to get this thing underway, man?
Man, I'm fired up for it.
Yes, sir. We got I think a exciting, fun episode today to bring to the audience, and guys, just welcome in, man. We are rolling into season 4 already, episode 2. It seems like, again, I say this every time, but it seems like we just started this the other day, man.
Yeah, it really does.
But it's just, it continues to go out there, guys. Just thank y'all so much for all the views, all the the comments we get. Episode 1 was great. It's reaching a lot of people, and that's all thanks to y'all, and all glory to the Most High, because we couldn't do that without Him, and we want to give Him all honor and glory for this. So, but Corey, I'm gonna pass it over to you and let you. We have a guest on today. I'll let you welcome him in.
We have Sam Crawford coming in. She is the host of the Light podcast, and we're just so honored to have you in. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Well, we're excited. Just a little background on Sam. You moved from the Netherlands to Texas at 19.
I did.
Wow, that is with a suitcase and a guitar. You're telling us that you worked 3 jobs through college and was a student athlete while you were trying to pursue music, and I know that probably had some challenges, and we're going to talk about that. But wow. And then moving from the Netherlands, you kind of were wrestling with your belief system and things like that, and you ended up finding a relationship with Christ, and I know we're going to touch on that a lot today, but just thank you for being here, and I'm excited to have a conversation with you. So
thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to learn from y'all.
Yeah.
This is way more professional than my setup.
Oh.
Hey, it's not like I told you when you got here. Sometimes I can get a little out of control with some things, and every guest that comes on says the same thing. They're like, when did y'all set all this up? And it's just one of them things where at first I think I went a little overboard with everything, especially not knowing where this thing would go. Yeah. Today, with us where we are, I'm glad we did it now, but at the same time, I mean, you definitely do not have to have what we have to have a podcast.
Right. I love it though. I just noticed whenever you turned your head, the sticker with the with Yoders Talk.
Yeah, and we got to call out the producer Sean, because he's the one behind everything. It's man, Sean. I don't know if you can throw yourself up there or not. I don't know if you have it set up. There you are. But it's just he's the one that does the work behind the scenes to make it possible. So, but welcome Sam. I'm excited to have you on. and hear your story. It sounds like a very interesting story, and I believe our listeners are going to be excited to hear it. So,
well, let's just I guess just start at the beginning. Moving here with just a suitcase and a guitar, what drove you to kind of make that decision, to kind of take that leap?
Yeah, everybody asks me that, and it's so weird because I don't really know the answer. I just always felt like when I grow up, I'm going to move to the United States. Mm-hmm. And my parents love the United States. We've always talked about it's the best country. You know, if you want to make something of yourself, you go to the United States, where all the opportunities are. It's where you can make it big, and there's no other place like it. Mm-hmm. And everybody in the world knows that, and everybody wants to come here, you know. And so I just always thought, I'm going to move to the United States. Mm-hmm. And when I was 17, I was an exchange student, came over here. It's just the easiest visa that you can get, you know, it's through a program and everything. But the law says that you have to go back. Mm-hmm. So you can only stay here for a year on your visa, and then you have to go back to your home country. So during that year, I knew even more so. I thought, I'm coming back, you know? Yes. So worked a bunch of jobs, saved up, had to have $18,000.
Wow.
Show the government, hey, I'm not gonna live off the government. I got this. And came back over here. And that was a little bit scarier because there was there's no end date. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first year, you know, my parents kind of thought, all right, you know, she'll go over there for a year.
Of her system.
Yeah, and she'll come back and live her life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the case.
Was America what you thought it would be at 17 when you got here?
No. So whenever you're an exchange student, you get put in this website, and you have to write a letter. Mm-hmm. So your host family can pick you based on this letter. And my region was going to be Virginia. So I was looking all this stuff up about Virginia and the surrounding area. And I thought, cool, that looks pretty. And then this family from Texas, they looked at other areas where people were put in, and they liked my letter so much. They said, we want her to come live with us. Yeah. And so they picked me, and I got to go to Texas, and I thought, I'm going to be riding horses. You know, I'm going to be wearing cowboy boots. This is going to be great. I love country music. Right. Yeah. So I thought, this is going to be awesome. And then I came to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and nobody was wearing cowboy boots. I thought, this is not like I thought it would be.
Yes.
That's I could definitely see, because there is a stereotype of like, I know when I've traveled a little bit out abroad and stuff, and for some reason, like, everybody that I've bumped into, like, I tell them I'm from Alabama or whatever, and they always get this notion that I'm from Texas. Yeah. Like, and so they're like, do you wear a cowboy hat? No, I do not. I do not wear a cowboy hat. But so I could see that you know, going into it, your perspective, you know, would be challenged. But I think that's so good for a teenager to kind of expand their horizon, kind of see what they want to make of themselves, and so. But I know, as I was reading over about you, it said you worked multiple jobs while playing music and just being a student athlete, and so I know that already, just being a student athlete and going through school and college and stuff like that presents its own challenges as it is on a time constraint. But you know, then adding jobs and things like that, like, I can imagine you had no time for anything. No. So it probably was a very probably taught you some pretty good lessons of time management and stuff like that, but I could see that being challenging for you.
It was very, very hard. Maybe not while I was in it. Yeah. But looking back, I got sick about every month. Mm. Yeah. And the congestion and stuff like that, and it's like I was just always sick. But I never slept, so it was just, well, I did sleep, of course, you know, but 4 or 5 hours a night. Yeah. And when you're, you know, 19, 20, you're fine doing that, you know. Or even now, looking at Trump, I don't know when he sleeps.
Yeah, I don't think he
does. So maybe just the kind of person, but I need sleep now. But back then, I was just so dead set on, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make it. I'm going to stay here. And that was just always on my mind. I didn't have a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
It was plan A is I'm going to stay here in the United States. I'm going to play music. And that's it. I didn't have a backup. So all the different jobs, it was to a point where my car broke down at one point. And so being on the cross country team, I would run from job to job.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Across town.
Wow! get your training in at the same time. Yes. That's unbelievable. I mean, it just shows that when we are in pursuit of something, that we can set our mind to it and we can achieve it. You know, there's the narrative that it seems in today's world that, you know, I have the right to it, and you can. It's the fact is none of us have a right to anything. We have to, you know, and most times people that feel that way, that they have a right to something, don't understand or don't appreciate the people that put the work in,
for sure,
the hard work in. And you know, I'm a big believer, and here in our organization, we're a big believer that, you know, nothing is given, it's earned. And I can see, you know, through your journey here that you earned it. You earned where you are. And that's just the proof that, you know, all the young people that may be listening, you know, don't listen to the narrative that it's just going to be given to you one day. If you pursue it and you work hard, you can become what you want to become.
Absolutely.
And it does take hard work, and it is hard. It's tough. I mean, I look back at when you know, starting our business here, it was hard. It was hard. So I can definitely see the struggles in a sense. Now on the other side, I don't think we growing up here in America understand the blessings we are kind of born into.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about Netherlands. I honestly don't. I should know probably more about it, but I do want to.
It's a very small country.
I do want to go there one day. That's one country that I have on my list for some reason. I just me and my wife have talked about it. We want to go there one time, so just to see what it's like. So.
Yeah, it's fun to visit. And once you're in Europe, you know, you can travel around and everything's close. You know, my house was 5 hours from Paris, so
Nice.
you can take a train and just go. So that's very different from here. But the blessings that you have here in the United States, and I didn't realize because, you know, on TV you see everybody being proud of the United States, but when you actually come here, you see that the people don't, especially in high school, kids don't realize what they have. And it's not like I'm from a poor country.
Right.
Like, the Netherlands is also a rich Western country. We have, you know, never done without pretty much. But then coming over here, and I think it's so important for everybody, like you were saying, when you're a teenager, experience that and broaden your horizons. But being at a point where you've not really hit rock bottom, but do without, and learn that you can survive without anything. I mean, I didn't. I got to a point where I couldn't afford the meal plan at school, and so I just did without. And I thought, I'll be fine. I don't need fancy food, you know. So I got ramen noodles, and then I got Pop-Tarts. So I would have a Pop-Tart for breakfast, and then a Pop-Tart for lunch, and then 2 Pop-Tarts microwaved for dinner. So, because it would taste, you know, a little bit different for dinner.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been there before, where the ramen noodles and you cook them, put a little Parmesan cheese on them just to make them taste different. So
I haven't tried that.
Yeah, that's a game changer. But
I mean, I still eat them. I'm just gonna be honest. Like they're pretty much cardboard. But every now and then I'll be like, "Hun, do we got some just 25-cent noodles?"
Yeah,
they may be $5 by now.
Right.
But
you know, one thing, cross country. I know that is such a challenging sport. I did track in high school.
You ran?
And I actually did.
What did you do? What was your event?
I was my main events were shot put thrower and javelin thrower, but I was the 4th alternate for the 100-meter dash.
Wow.
And so I don't look like it, but I used to be fast. I keep telling everybody I'm an athlete. I'm just insulated athlete now. But
that's real. There's a website posted, and Corey Stats is posted on that website.
Yeah, I think my best. I mean, it's nothing impressive, so don't. I ran it, but it's like funny story. I ran against this guy from Vestavia Hills one time. And this guy looked like prime Mark Ingram. Like his thighs were as big as my torso.
Oh, wow.
And so if you've ever ran the 100-meter, you know, you get in your blocks and everything. You're supposed to, like for the first 5 steps, you're supposed to have head down and come out of your launch and everything. And so we launched. I'm 5 steps. I feel like I got a great jump. And, like, I bring my head up to kind of see the track, and he's already halfway down the track. And I was like, just run as hard as you can. But I've done some conditioning where I've had to, like, in football, we used to have to run a lot of long distances and stuff. And so we would do, our coach would always make us do, like, he'd do, everybody else would have to run like a mile a day, but because me and my best friend were special, you know, we got to run 2. And
okay.
So, yeah, we were the favorites. But the thing that I started learning about long distance running and running multiple miles in that stint is like there's a little bit of a mind game that has to go into play there.
Yeah.
Like, so the way I would get through it, because I was, you know, I hated conditioning. I would have to tell myself, like, okay, run to that mailbox. And I would run to that mailbox, and then when I would get to that mailbox, I would say, okay, well, if you run to that power pole, you can stop running.
Right.
And I would run to the power pole, and they'd be like, well, you can probably get to that end of the street right there, or you can run here. And I would just have to play mind games with myself until I got to the point of what they would call a runner's high, where your brain basically gives up and says like, hey, this is what we're going to do now. And so I know, to me, I think that's a great analogy of life.
Yes.
Is understanding that our body has such a larger capacity to run, to do whatever physically, even though our mind's saying, no, we have nothing left in the tank. We still have that ability to keep going. We just got to push through it mentally. And so your story, that's what I thought was a great look, is I'm sure there's times in your life or in this section of your life where you felt like I don't have enough to keep going, and it just seems like you just kept, well, I just got to get through this, and then I got to keep going through that, and then I got to keep pressing here. And so I thought that was a great analogy of you being a cross country runner. That's kind of mentally how I see your picture is you just kept pressing through until you got to your runner's high.
Yeah. I love that comparison because that's how I feel about running. I feel like everything that I've ever gone through within a run, I can apply to life.
Yeah.
Because different races or everything is always different, and you telling your story about track made me think of mine. I was the worst on our team, way in the back, slowest. And whenever I was in college, my friends had made all these signs, and they were sitting on the side holding up the signs, you know, go Sam, go Sam. Yeah. And I got lapped by second to last place. That's how slow I was. So I looked in the stands, and they put the signs under the bleachers.
Yeah.
Because it was embarrassing. You know, you're not going to keep yelling for this last person. But I finished it. Yeah. You know, I finished it. And I feel like it's the same thing with life. Even if you're the worst at something, you can still finish what you started.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, to me, you know, I've got a 2 sons. I've got an 8-year-old that's a baseball fanatic, and we just started baseball season. And so, you know, I'm having to go through the early parts of, hey, you've forgotten how we do things when we play baseball. But like we tuck our jersey in, we don't turn our hat sideways. It's straight forward. Everything's are presentable. And so other night he was like, Daddy, why do I have to tuck my shirt on? Because that's the way we do things. it matters. And the thing is, there's going to be a lot of people, and I was telling him, there's going to be a lot of people that say it don't matter, and they'll quit one day. Like, but we're going to keep doing things the way that we're supposed to do it, and we'll finish, and we'll be in a better position. It don't matter if you're not the best right now. It matters at the end of your life how you translate this thing and make things hit towards the end of your life. So finishing is crucial. That's why Paul talks about it. You know, is it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. That's what we're called to do as believers.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I believe that a lot of times the difference between someone that is successful and someone that is not is they never gave up. They never quit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's many times in my life, and I know both of y'all could say the exact same thing, where maybe we were on the verge of it,
right,
of quitting something, and we, powered through, and then now we look back at that situation and we're thankful for it. I know a time in my life, in my business life, where I had every right to quit. I should have, in the scope of the world, I should have quit. But my father always taught me that, he always says it like this. He says, time to strap your boots on and get to it. And what he means by that is, when them times come, you just got to sometimes get down in the muck of it and just fight, and by the grace of God, of course, that's the key, and come out the other side of it. And when you look back at it, you're thankful for it, because it made me who I am. There's probably things during this journey that made you who you are today because of it. And it's great. I love seeing stories of people that, in the scope of the world today, they would say you should have quit. You should have stopped, but you didn't. And
the help that people get, I think, hinders them sometimes.
Yes.
Because I got to a point where, financially, I didn't have any help. So I either work these jobs or I don't eat.
Yeah.
So there was no other choice. And then a lot of my friends that were on financial aid, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So they said, why don't you just request some financial aid, or why don't you get a student loan? And I thought, you're going to have to pay that back at some point.
Yeah.
Why am I going to just do nothing now and just set myself up to have to pay this big loan later?
There is, the student debt in today's world is, that's probably a total another episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's say I have some myself. So
I have. Well, I'll leave it at that. I was going to say I don't have any, because I didn't make it I didn't make it to high school. So we'll leave it at that.
You didn't make it to high school?
I did not. I've dropped out in eighth grade. Yep, we went just through 8th grade. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. Just blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. So you just started working after
Yes.
that?
Yeah. My father gave me the option. That's kind of the culture we grow up in. A lot of them just do go through the 8th grade, and that's it. But and it's optional. It's not like we don't believe that you only need to go through 8th grade. Of course not. But for me, I always seen it as, why would I wait to get into learning life?
Right.
Because I hated school with everything. To me, it was a waste of time. If I could do math, I could read, I could write. That's all I needed.
Right.
Looking back, I want my sons to probably do a little better than I did. But yeah, it just made me who I was. My father trusted me in the business at a very, very young age. He probably would have got arrested today because they'd have said that was child labor, but I wanted it. It was something but at a young age, at 13, I actually got into the helping manufacture buildings at 13 years old.
Wow.
And it just taught me so much. I learned so much.
So was that even legal back then?
Probably not. Probably not. But now it wasn't like, another thing, we weren't at the level we were. We had I think 4 or 5 employees, and it was just a smaller business at the time. So I kind of had the back corner, and had some great guys that took me under their wing in the business. And Wesley Steele, if you watch this, thank you, because he really, really helped me out a lot at that age. So, but anyway, I don't want this. Not about me.
That's awesome, though. I mean, your dad made a good decision.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I, some days I'm like, maybe I should. Of course, I can't put my son out on the floor and working like I did now, but like, well, yeah. But I do like over the summer, like this coming summer, we've had the conversation. He's going to have a job here at the business. Now, again, it's not going to be out, doing probably what I did, but he's going to have a job here that he's going to be responsible to. Every day he has to show up and do it. He's going to have fun, but you're going to do the job first. I'm not saying you got to work 8 hours a day, but I'm saying there's going to be a responsibility every day that you got to come in and do, and then go have fun. Mm-hmm. Because I believe that's what it was. My father teaching me the responsibility is where it's led me to where I am today. And and the delayed gratification.
Yes. I feel like nobody practices that anymore.
Yes.
Oh no.
Because we can anything we want, we can have it tomorrow on our doorstep. We don't have to wait for anything. We can just walk to the fridge, grab whatever we want, and it's nowhere. And I feel like, that's the main part of my story. I feel like is delayed gratification, because work, and then you get what you want.
I seen that you have went through the Dave Ramsey plan, and that his plan is really that. Let's be honest, it's delayed gratification. He talks about that all the time. Delayed gratification. You got to go through the tough things, getting out of debt, but eventually you get to a point where you're able to do things that nobody else can.
Yeah.
And with peace,
right.
I say they can't. They can do it, but they're doing it with debt. They're doing it with a burden that is on the other side of a vacation or whatever that is, because they're having to use credit cards. They're having to do this or that. And but yeah, I love what you said. The delayed gratification is a massive thing that people have lost, I believe, in today's world.
Yeah, and just being okay with, if you go on 3 vacations a year, I can't do that. If you wear this brand of clothing, I'm not going to do that. And just be okay with that. And I think that's, for a lot of people, that's really hard, because maybe it makes you feel like you're less than, when you're just making the choice that you need to make for yourself now. Somebody else might be on a different level. They might be making more money, or they might be in massive credit card debt.
Yeah.
It's always the thing of, you pull up to a stoplight, you see a beautiful truck beside you. Oh, you're like, or a nice vehicle. You're like, man, that'd be nice to have one day. And the thing is, I know this is probably not fair to the person owning the truck, but I tell myself every time I pull up there, I'm like, well, they're probably in debt.
Right. And
that gives me a sense of like, and it's probably not the right way to look at it, because hopefully they're not, but I'm just like, I'm okay with my 2015.
That's me every day.
Yeah.
I drive a 2000 Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
That is.
But there's something to it.
On her last leg.
There's a study out there that says, like, business owners, you can, if they pull into a parking lot, and you have 100 business owners pull into a parking lot, and I say business owners just because it's a business. I mean, you could say just anybody pull into a parking lot, and you poll the vehicles, and you could say 2 or a year and newer versus vehicles that are 5, 6, 7 years old a lot of times. And most times, the most successful people will not be pulling in with a vehicle a year or newer.
Yeah, that's so funny you said that, because the guy that I work for in Texas, he's become just one of my best friends, like family.
Yeah.
He's older, so it's weird calling him a friend, but he's like family. And everybody that worked for him had a brand new vehicle, and he had 19-something Jeep, and he had duct taped the mirror onto it, the side mirror.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That is how it's done.
Yeah, he was the biggest, at one point, he was the biggest dance club owner in the United States.
Yeah.
So he could,
big
ranch, he could afford all that stuff, but he just didn't.
And I think it's because there's a difference between someone, that lives off of their possessions and the way people view them. That's where they get their gratification, is how do people look at me? Whereas hopefully for me and my team and in our business, I want to look at it as not what people look at me, what I can do for them. And so I feel that if just because you can afford something and you bring all the attention to yourself, it makes you lose the opportunity to actually reach out to others because, I don't know. It's just it's to me it's weird and awkward to try to show people your worth. I guess you could say. I'd rather be behind closed doors, and I think that's the way God has called us to be, is behind closed doors, not making a scene, not making it, obvious, because it's God's anyway. When he blesses us, it's not ours. And so many people try to claim it on themselves and look what I've done, look what I got. When in the end, God's saying, hey, here's this for you to manage. Do it well for me. This is mine anyway. It's not yours. It's God's. And, we miss the point sometimes of what the way God intended blessings to be.
Yeah.
And if that made sense.
It does. And it's funny that you say that too, because pride, I feel like it's all around that.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I used to tell people my story of coming to this country and stuff, I had so much pride about it. It's like, I did that,
Yeah.
I got on that plane. I did that. I moved over here. And I was proud of that. It was hard, got through it. And after I got to know God, I realized none of that was me.
Yeah.
And from the start, there's been people put in my life that have helped me through everything. Even when I didn't have anything to eat, sometimes I'd go to the cafeteria and there'd be the security people that were not allowed to let me in because I didn't have, the food part on your ID, and they'd let me in anyway. So every now and then, when the right security person was there, I could sneak in.
Yeah.
And then at one point, I couldn't afford to pay for the dorm, so I decided, well, I'll live with these people. They were going to let me live with them for free, and it was miserable. Very nice people, but there was like 10 people living in that house, and nobody had mattresses. So I was telling my coach, I said, I can't live there,
Yeah.
And he said, well, I think Jessica has my teammate, has a dorm to herself. And he just walked away because he couldn't tell me, well, just live there for free.
Yeah.
Right.
But she let me live there for free. So I didn't have a key. So we pried out this thing in the window where I could just go in and out of the window. But I had a place to live for free.
Yeah.
The guy that was over the apartments, the dorms, he knew I was in there. He didn't say anything. The dean knew I lived on campus and wasn't supposed to. I wasn't paying for it. He didn't say anything. So everywhere there was, and there was a guy, Snuffy was his name, not his real name, but he would cook steaks, and he would cook all these peppers and stuff, all this Texas stuff.
Yeah.
And he'd call me and he'd say, hey, got your steak ready.
Mm.
So little things like that where everybody was just helping out. And here I was just saying, oh, I've done this all on my own. I didn't do any of it on my own.
Well, it's hard sometimes, like when you're in the moment, to see certain things get moved in a direction, and you just think, as a young man, I really believed in coincidences and things like that. Like, that just worked out for me and things like that. But now as I get older, you can look back, and I say this a lot. The viewers will know I've said this, but you'll see the thread of God's faithfulness all through your life, and you go, wow, that's crazy that God just worked that out for me every step of the way, and every bad time was preparing me for a good time later, and every decision that I've made has led me up into this point, and it's hard. You've just got to, now that you're able to see that thread of faithfulness in your life, you can now use it as a faith building moment, and to be able to say, okay, now I am in the present. As I look towards the future, God has led me all the way to this point. He's been faithful. We talked about it in Africa. We had a kid tell us over there in just terrible living conditions, and I forget who was talking to him and said, what keeps you going? And he's like, God was faithful yesterday, he was faithful today, and he's going to be faithful tomorrow. And you know, when you're able to keep that mindset, you know, there's nothing stopping you. And I definitely think I see that so much in your story just here talking. But it says now you met your husband playing music. Is that correct?
Yeah. Where I lived in Snyder, Texas, we had this little dance hall. Yeah. And I played there every week. So before the bands would come on, I would play like 2 or 3 songs. Yeah. And he played. He was in Heartland. Okay. They had that. I Loved Her First song. Yeah. And he came to Texas and played with this other musician, Brian Milson, and they would just go around Texas. And so he one night played at the venue that I played at, and he told me, he said I wrote this song, and it's a duet, but I don't have a girl to sing it with. Do you want to sing the song with me? And I said sure. So he got my number, and we didn't record that song till like 3 years later. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, them guys, sometimes they come up with good excuses to talk. I know if we ever had my wife on the podcast, she has a similar story. Oh yeah. Yeah, that how I got her to go out on the first date with me. So, but hey, it worked out. We celebrated yesterday our 3rd wedding anniversary. So congratulations. Happy anniversary, my lovely bride. You're even more beautiful today than you were the day I married you. So there you go. There you go. That's sweet. That's brownie points right there. That's what that is. So I know, you know, you also said that y'all two were working on a deal with Sony. What led you, and y'all kind of walked away from it? What kind of led you to like say, okay, it's time to kind of move into a next stage of life? Yeah, it was very slow. Yeah. The whole process was a lot of waiting, and you just wait kind of for management to move things around. Things have to fall into place. In the meantime, you're just waiting. I wasn't used to that. You know, I was used to let's go attack something, let's get it. And we couldn't get jobs, we couldn't do anything because we were waiting for this moment. And I remember we went to see my parents. My parents went on vacation in on the coast, I guess the Gulf of America now. Yeah. Yeah. We went over there, and we had maxed out all our credit cards, and we had no money. We had some cash, so we had enough for the ride back and a pizza. So we're thinking, what are we doing? You know, we're just sitting around waiting. And then we got a call, or my husband got a call that it was going to take a little bit longer. Some things hadn't worked out, and we're going to have to wait a little bit. And I saw this couple, looked to be in their 70s, cleaning hotel rooms together. And I thought, that's going to be us. If I don't get it together and, you know, start making some money somewhere, we're going to be cleaning hotel rooms or something when we're 70. And we talked about it the whole ride back to Coleman. And we decided, okay, it's time to grow up. Let's get some jobs. Yeah. And let's make something happen for ourselves, because our whole lives were in other people's hands. And even though they wanted the best for us, you know, it was completely out of our control. That's challenging, the waiting and sitting around. And so many times I think that's a lot of places we get in our lives, is we're waiting on this to happen, and it does come a time where you just go, hey, you know, like your dad says all the time, you just got to pull your bootstraps up and get after it. But I know it's challenging at the same time, because when you work for something like for me in my life, when I was young, 20 in my teens and then in my early 20s, I was a pastor. Okay. And so I had done that, and I thought that was what my whole life was going to be. And now looking back at it at 32, I'm like, golly, like what? Like the Lord had so much but more planned for me. Every dream that he spoke over me has come true. It's just I wasn't standing in the right spot. Right. And so it's hard sometimes to be in that waiting period and being like, God, what are you doing? Like, but like I say, you just got to know he's going to work it out. It's just, you just got to be waiting on him to kind of put you in the right place. But,
I look back in our business, and through over the years, there was times where, well, let's see, back in 2022, there was a big transition, and I remember sitting there, and we were with a company that, really was a blessing to be with. I mean, we were contracting for them. They were a great company, but there were some things that had changed over the years, and it really wasn't working out. Our company was struggling. It was tough, and I remember this was in November of 2021, I think it was. Yeah, November of 2021. And I remember thinking, this just ain't going to work. I don't know if it's going to work, but patience. Wait. And we waited. December rolled around. January rolled around. February rolled around. And all of a sudden I realized that my team is now suffering. Not just me, but my team is suffering. And I remember just crying out to God. I said, God, I don't get this. I'm just being honest. I don't get this. We have worked so hard for where we are, and I feel that we're losing everything. And I just said, God, I don't know which way to go. Don't know what to do. And I needed a sign. I asked for a sign. Give me a sign. And nothing. It was like crickets. Just and it was one night I left this shop here, and I live up in Viamont, but I took a left out here at Evergreen Road, just right up here, and bawling my eyes out. And I'll admit it. I was crying my eyes out. I said, God, I'm done. You don't give me an answer. You're not giving me direction. Done. I'm just done. I'm going to the house. I'm going to take a drive, then I'm going to go to the house, and I'm just going to, it's what it is. You must not want this to happen. Well, so I get to my house, and I remember going to bed, and it was early. Like I was taking a nap. It was like 5 o'clock. I was exhausted, lay down, and I remember so clearly I had a dream of just, it was felt like it was a spirit dream. And anyway, I woke up at 8 o'clock to a text message that was, to me, it's why we are where we are today. And I had no idea. There was no connection. There was nothing there. Woke up to this text message, and I realized this, that God was waiting on Clinton to get done. He wanted me to get to a point where it was only about relying on him. I was still thinking back over that month's period. I was still trying to do it on my own a lot more. Yes, I'd pray about it, but yet I'd pray about it, then go try to do it, without direction and without God's direction. And, all that thing we went through, we were able to, the dots just started to line up. Everything started to line up so easily. And within a month, we had a whole new system put in place. We were with a different company. We're still with them today. They've been nothing but blessing to us. And there was a whole pile of other things outside of our business that had to happen for that to even happen. And I'm trying to get to a point and say that a lot of times in our lives, we try so hard to do it all on our own. And we wait when at times we need to take a step and trust God in that step, and not just wait, because we have to get to a point where we don't just only rely on God. What I mean by that is, I want to be careful. I'm kind of being controversial here between what I was saying, but there's a side of us where we have to take a step and trust God in that step. I was waiting. And when I got done and saying, God, I'm done. I'm just going to do it. I'm not, basically, I was like, about was saying, God, I'm done with you. I wasn't really meaning it that way, but in a way, it felt that way. And I was just going to go do it. I was going to get out from underneath that business. I was going to build my own buildings. I'm done. I'm just figure it out. I don't know. Then God went to work. And I see that happen over and over and over. We just have to get to a point where we're done, and we step forward in faith and trusting God that in this step I'm taking, you're going to be there and you're going to meet me there.
Yeah.
It's where you surrender.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
It's surrender, just full surrender. I'm taking that step. And then he's like, it's all I needed, son. I needed that surrender and that step forward, the door was always open. You just weren't willing to take a step through it.
Yeah.
So anyway, long rant, but
before we go into the next part of your story, we're going to take a quick break and let you hear from one of our amazing sponsors. There is just something about the first sip of coffee in the morning. It sets the tone for the whole day. And if you're like us, you know that not just any coffee will do.
that's why we start our mornings with Farmhouse Coffee. Freshly brewed, handcrafted, and served straight from their coffee truck. Their coffee isn't just a drink, it's an experience.
Whether you need a smooth cup of coffee to ease you into the day, or a bold brew to fuel your hustle, they've got you covered. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, just great coffee made fresh every single time.
And the best part, they're always on the move, bringing their amazing coffee to different spots around town.
To find where they are setting up next, check out Farmhouse Coffee's Facebook page, and trust us, once you taste the difference, you'll be tracking them down every single morning.
Farmhouse Coffee, brewed fresh, served with purpose.
Well, the next part of your story that I just want to unpack is growing up in the Netherlands, where atheism is very, very common. Where were your early views on faith and religion?
I guess, you know, when I talk to a lot of people and they talk about atheists, they think atheists believe that you're on this earth and then when you die, you're in the ground.
Yeah.
But in reality, a lot of people that don't grow up with religion believe that there's something, they just don't know what. And in the Netherlands, there's a lot of different cultures. There's a lot of Hinduism, Muslims, all kinds of stuff. And not that much Christianity.
Yeah.
And I looked up and it says online, I think it's over 50% of the people in Netherlands call themselves atheists.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I was. I thought, well, I don't know. I'll just see, you know, what happens.
Yeah.
I didn't know the story of Jesus. I didn't know anything like that. In fact, we went to Switzerland, which is a little more religious, and we stayed at a bed and breakfast there. They had all these pictures of Jesus everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it was of the crucifixion, of everything. And having never seen that before, me and my sister, we turned all the paintings around. We thought, we can't sleep with this hanging up, you know.
Yeah.
I
could see from, you know, that being a little bit of a culture shock, is being like, what, like, how is this comforting to someone hanging above their bed or whatever?
Yeah, like, tell me the backstory first, you know, give me the context.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people, especially coming into the South, they just tell you you're a Christian. And I remember when I was like 10, when I told my family, when I'm older, I'm going to move to the United States. My great uncle, he said, whenever you move, get yourself a cross necklace. That way nobody's going to bother you about religion.
Yeah.
And I thought, I never questioned it. I just thought, you know, when you hear stuff as a kid, it just kind of stuck with me. And I thought, well, that's weird. You know, why would I do that? And then coming over here, I went to church for a little bit with my host family, but they called themselves Christian, but me and my host dad, we would kind of make fun of the singers in the church and stuff. So it was not really we're coming here to worship. You know, it was more like we're here twice a year.
It's kind of turns into these, because that's so like how you talk about the Netherlands being like that 50% atheist. You know, in America and especially in the South, like you probably are at that metric with people who say they're Christians, and so I have it's honestly my heart breaks for culture. It's cultural Christianity, and it's the fact that, well, you know, grandma always went to church, and then, you know, like me growing up, my dad was a preacher and a pastor. You know, the only time I got to miss church was if like I had a limb amputated. Like I can remember one time, like Sunday morning waking up, me faking throwing up and being like telling my mom like, hey, I threw up. And she's like, well, I'm so sorry, honey. I bet you feel better though. We can go to church now. You know, and so like it's to the extreme. Like, you know, if the guy was cutting the yard at the church, you know, like I felt like I was at church. And so, and that was hard for me as I got into a teenager, is understanding that just going to church is not really what it's about.
Right.
And so, but I do feel like that is a big part of the Southern culture is, well, I just go to church, but it's not about going to church. It's about having that relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and how you act outside of it.
100%.
And that's what really got me, because I used to be very on the opposite side of it, very much against any type of religion, and I just thought this is what causes wars. You know, everybody fights over religion. I don't. How can you be so arrogant to pick just one? How do you know for sure? You know, that kind of stuff, because I never had looked into it, and everybody was telling me stuff from different sides, and I thought, I don't know. You all seem great people, trustworthy. I have no idea. And how does somebody like me, you know, I mean, community college degree, I don't know what's right. I have no idea. So when I moved to Alabama, my father-in-law was a preacher for a Church of Christ. So they got me a Bible. And I remember calling my mom. I was like, I have this Bible. What do I do? So I started page 1. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how to read this. And he said, well, you know, you start in the Gospels, and I didn't know what that was. So I went to church with them for a little bit, and I really enjoyed it. You know, different. It was like a routine, and we all were together, but the things that they talked about, it was so far advanced from what I knew. I needed the child Bible stories. Yeah. You know, I had no idea about any of it. And here we are in the Church of Christ, where people have read the Bible 20 times, you know, and we're talking about the measurements of the temple. And I'm thinking, you know, who's Jesus? I don't care about this temple. And so me and my husband, we walked away from the church. We didn't go anymore. And I'd asked different people and stuff, and I don't think I was going about it in the right way, because I was real argumentative towards people. Right. Whenever at work, you know, whenever they talk to me about God, I'd ask them specific questions. And, you know, like you were saying, a lot of people don't know their faith. Even though they say they're Christian, they don't really know what they believe. And so that just further confirmed for me, say, okay, people just decided they wanted to believe this.
It turns into, it's more of a country club.
Yeah. You
know, I could see that.
And you they say they're Christian because they don't. I mean, if you don't say that, then you might kind of get looked at a little,
absolutely,
little weird. And it's just a statement. It ain't a belief.
Right. Right. And that was very hard to me. The hypocrisy that came with it, that I thought that I saw. And so I think 3 years ago, I just completely gave up on it. And I said, I don't believe this. You know, I'm sure there's something there. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to do this search anymore. I'm done. And then I thought, well, I'll learn a little bit about each religion. So my plan was to read the Bible, read the Quran, and just go down the religions and just see what it's all about. So I had the Bible, so I thought, well, you know, we'll start there. And I read from front to back.
Yeah.
And by the time I got to Daniel, I thought, okay, there's something to this.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't ask anybody to interpret anything for me. Every question that I had, the answer came to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which, and I'm not very smart, so that's not, it's not coming from me. But I felt like every question that I had, I had the right, what I felt was the right interpretation of it. And once I got to Daniel with the predictions and things, I started looking that up. And it was, they said that Daniel was written at a later time, they thought, because he was writing in 2 dialects. So maybe it wasn't right. And then they came back later, said, no, in fact, they used to travel around at that time. So he could be that it's true that it was written at that time.
Yeah.
So everything slowly, every book that I went through got confirmed. And I thought, well, maybe it's time to be around people who know a little more about this. And I thought, but I don't want to go to church. I want to sleep in on Sunday. I run, and I thought, after my run, I come in and I lay down, take a nap. And I loved that routine. I thought, I'm not going to mess it up by, sitting in church. I'm not doing that. So I called my friend in Texas, and I said, I wish they had something where you could actually learn on a Wednesday or something, on Thursday, whatever day that's not on a Sunday. And the next day, one of the girls that I run with, Stephanie, I didn't know her well then, but she posted on Facebook this group, to a freedom group.
Yeah.
And so I asked one of my coworkers, I said, hey, you want to go to this? And we went together, and I ended up going to that church, and I've never left.
Freedom groups, I've been through, been through 2 of them myself, and then I've taught it.
Yeah.
And led a group. And how powerful is that?
Yeah.
If listeners, if you need some really help, and I'm so thankful for Church of the Highlands for helping develop that. If you need some true freedom in your life, seek out a freedom group. That curriculum is just so powerful. I can't say it enough. Good Lord, it's I cry like a baby every time I go through it. But it seems like, and I've heard of stories like this. Being from my background, I went to VBS, and my dad, like I say, was a pastor, and I'm so thankful for the upbringing that I had. But I hear these stories of people that they almost go out and set out to disprove the Bible, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, that kind of sounds like kind of the adventure you went on.
Yeah. If that's what you want to do, if anybody listening, go do that. Go and try and disprove everything.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was trying to do, and I came out on the other side of it. And the praying, I didn't really know how to pray.
Yeah.
Because you get these. Is that my phone?
Slide that over there.
You get these. Prayers that everybody says, and I thought, oh, you have to do it in a certain order and stuff. And the girls in the freedom group, I'm still friends with them. And the leaders, there was 4 of them, and all of them very different personalities, but each very godly. And so they told me that you just talk to God like you talk to a friend. You know, you don't have to do it at a specific time every morning. It's just whenever you feel like talking to God. It can be all day. And so that's my journey now. All day, I talk to God.
Yes.
And it's, I love it because I feel like he's always there. And that took a while to develop because going to church with my in-laws, I even got baptized because I thought maybe that then I'll believe. I thought it's going to be this magic thing that one day I'm just, I believe now. But it was just a slow progression, and then I didn't go to church still, even during the freedom group. I didn't go to church, but I started listening to Pastor Derry's from Daystart Church to his sermons online, and in one of them he said that you don't have to go to church. And so I thought, I haven't heard that before, from a Christian, and I thought, now I want to go to church. So that's when I started going. But I still that part of, okay, I believe there's something there, And the relationship, it was that gap that really got me. And so I kept praying for a sign, which I know that you're not supposed to do, but I thought I just want something. And I remember it was on, I think, a Saturday or Sunday night or something. I'd been reading in Matthew, and I had Matthew laid open on my desk, and I went to get me and my husband some food. Well, we live like 30 minutes away from town. So went over there, went to Chipotle, got some food, and as I was driving, I said, God, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do here? And I said, I would really like for you to give me some kind of sign to where I know what I'm supposed to do. And then I said, make it clear, because I'm very stubborn. Because I thought if it's just gonna be a little something, I'm not gonna hear it, you know. And so I'm driving, and I'm put on a sermon from Pastor Jerry. And he's talking about being the salt and the light. He's getting real passionate, talking about be the salt, be the light. And all of a sudden, this bird hits my car. I hit the bird with the car, and I thought, oh, was that the sign that that I was asking for? And I thought, no, don't be crazy. I just hit a bird. Yeah. So didn't think any more about it. Just kept driving, and I came back, put the food down, and I went into to my office for some reason. And I looked at Matthew, and the page that it was on was in bold letters, be the salt and the light.
Yeah. Which is, you know, I've had so many moments like that where I've prayed that prayer, like, hey God, like I'm gonna need you to make this pretty clear to me, because I'm gonna be honest, I already know the answer of what's going on. Right. It's like I'm just trying to get you to change your mind. And like I think, like, when you were telling me that, like, myself in my head, and I'm good. So first of all, when I read the Bible, I read it in such a funny way. Like, to me, like John's a perfect example. You know, John's the only disciple that writes about himself and writes and says, like, he's the disciple that whom Jesus most loved. Right. Like, that's him saying that, which I think is hilarious. But, you know, like, I would have been honest if that would have happened, a bird, and that's why he's never let me hit a bird. But I would have been like, God, do you just want me to hit birds all my life? Like, what do you know, so, but, you know, it's just so funny that and you said like the key word, and I know, and I saw you kind of pep up too, and I did too. It's all about finding that relationship with Christ is the first step, and finding out that relationship is like a breath of fresh air in your life. But that's not where it ends, right? And that's the whole reason we're doing this podcast. Amen. Yes. Is it doesn't stop there. You have a reason why you're put on this earth, and that's a God-breathed, God-inspired purpose. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you were like, hey, that's my next step is, hey, I got to find what am I here for? What was I put on this earth here for? And, you know, I talk about this all the time that, you know, we're put on this earth not by coincidence. It doesn't just happen. We're here for a certain time and place, and I have a job to do. If I don't do that job, it's not going to happen. Right. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, like, listeners, I really passionately want you to hear this. There's no one else that can do what you were put on this earth to do. Amen. There's a purpose designed for you, and if you don't do that, it's not going to get done. And it's a purpose that God intended before you were even born. Yeah. And that's biblical. Yep. Mm-hmm. And it's in His plan. And I just wish that every person would truly understand the feeling and the value that comes in life when that starts to come clear to you. For me, when it became clearer and clearer, you know, I used to talk about all the time, I need to, you know, when is God going to send me on the mission field? When is God going to use me in this big, mighty work? You know, where's that going to be? And I remember so clearly one day Him speaking to me and said, you are right where you are. You're making, who's going to make the impact where you are? Mm-hmm. Yep. Who's that? Who's going to be that person then? If you're going to be going
overseas or you're going to be going to South America on this big mission crusade, who's going to do it right where you're at then?
Right.
You have a big purpose. You were put on this earth right here. Not saying that doesn't change and God doesn't send us in a different direction later in life or things of that. But today, this is your purpose. This is your God-given purpose. And teach the people around you to be better leaders. Teach people around you to be better fathers, better mothers. Teach them to lead and serve the way I serve. Or Christ served while he was on it. He's the greatest example of what a servant leader is. And when you find that and you embody it and you start to allow God to use it and cultivate it, man, the blessings that come out of it are just remarkable. The relationships that are formed are just remarkable, and the peace that you find in it, knowing that, and I still have the prayer. I still pray this. I say, God, if the time comes that it's somewhere else and it's something different, just show that, because I'm all in. I'm all sold out to live a purposeful life for Christ.
Yeah.
In whatever way.
Yeah,
So.
I love that, and it's funny to me too that sometimes whenever you talk about purpose, people think purpose and fame are one, and you're supposed to be a baseball player, you're supposed to be a singer, and you're supposed to have this platform where you're going to influence all these people and you're going to be on top of the world. But this is what society wants from you, and what it slowly is making you is selfish. And every step of the way is how can I be more, how can I chase this goal? How can I be famous? You know, or everything is, or how can I be the best or the highest position in my job? When your purpose can be, you're at the grocery store and there's somebody next to you who's having a really hard day, and just you acknowledging them as a person, smiling at them, saying something to them, asking how their day is, could, for that person, could be, the difference in what makes their day.
Yeah.
Amen.
Just something that small, you being in that position could do that. And it doesn't mean, I don't think your purpose is, let's hoard up a bunch of money,
Right.
and become the richest person in this town. And I feel like it's such a pull, because in this country, and I love it, I love striving, and I love, chasing the highest and doing the best. But it's like the enemy comes into, weaves itself into everything.
He does, absolutely.
Yeah, to where it can take away from that.
Amen.
Yeah, it's just about being intentional.
Yeah.
Every day and walking. And you said something about your prayer rhythms and stuff like this. One of my prayer rhythms I get to, and is I say, I heard this guy say this one time, I may not pray longer than 5 minutes, but I won't go 5 minutes without praying. And so when you carry that thought out, you can be intentional about, hey, what is the Holy Spirit asking me to do right now? And it may be smiling. My wife gets on me all the time that I could talk to a box of cereal if that's what's required of me. So it's just about what is He got for you right now in this moment. And when you tap into that, I think you're walking out in your purpose daily. But before we jump into, because I want to talk a little bit about your podcast, but before we do that, we're going to take another little break from one of our great sponsors. So check them guys out, and when you support them, you support us. So we appreciate it.
Guys, we got to talk to you about strokes gained hydration. Because let's be real, most of us don't drink enough water, and when we do, it's usually missing the electrolytes we actually need.
Exactly. Strokes Gained is designed to keep you hydrated the right way, with the perfect balance of electrolytes, no unnecessary sugars, and clean ingredients that help you feel and perform your best, whether you're out on the course, at the gym, or just tackling a busy day.
We've been using it, and the difference is unreal. Better energy, better focus, no midday crashes. If you want to stay on top of your game, check them out at strokesgained.com, strokesgained.com, and use code YodersTalk for an exclusive discount.
Hydrate smarter, feel better, and keep winning your day with strokes gained. All right, well, Sam, so tell us what your podcast, The Light, what made you kind of think that was the next step, and what made you start the podcast?
It was something that I was looking for. I was hoping somebody else would start it, so I could listen to it, because I don't want to listen to myself.
Yeah,
I
get it.
Yes, I get it.
But I was looking for this for a while. So as I was going through searching for God, reading the Bible, I was trying to find people that were like me, that were also looking, or that were believers, people that I would find at the church if I would just go there, but I just wanted to listen to people's testimonies, listen to people's stories. And so as I started going to church and going through this journey, I thought maybe this is something that I can start for other people to bridge that gap between searching and going to church, because it's very intimidating to just one day walk into a church, even though, you know, all churches say, we welcome everybody, you know, come in. Yeah. It's scary to just walk into a building and don't know where anything is. Where do you sit? You know, all that kind of stuff. So I just figured if I just get some of these people that I love, that are on, that I've gotten to know through church, that I know are godly people and are living this, that aren't aren't as hypocritical as I used to think that Christians were. I wanted to show that to other people. So I've been interviewing just all the people that have been inspiring to me, and hoping to bring that out. And there's been listeners all over the world, which I wasn't expecting at all. Yeah, even in Japan, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. I know. I listened to Pastor Kip's episode, which Kip Potter is one of my favorite human beings in the world. Yeah. And one day he'll teach me how to play golf. But I loved it. I loved hearing his story. I loved your input in that, and it meant a lot to me, because I've walked in kind of his shoes of being a pastor and everything, and I know the struggles of being a pastor. Yeah. And it for me, I was sitting there and I was like, okay, you're not crazy. If I looked at Pastor Kip and as somebody I look up to, and I'm like, man, like he's got some of that same stuff going on, in his faith journey, then maybe I'm not so bad off. And so I really appreciated it. It meant a lot to me. And so, but tell me just a little bit here. I'm looking here, and I've lost my place, but the podcast kind of it seems like you've just really honed into what you were looking for as that person, as trying to deliver that faith, and how has it helped your journey as a believer as you're interviewing these people?
It keeps me accountable. Yeah, for sure.
I like that.
Yeah, just constantly every other week, I'm talking to somebody who's inspiring, and like I want to be like this person. And it's they say that you're the average of the 5 people that you're around most. So I'm trying to surround myself with just the best people that I can. And all these people that I'm interviewing, they're amazing people. That's why I contacted y'all, because Kip said you need to talk to these guys. They've been doing this, and he saw my little clip on microphone. He's like, you got to check out the setup that they got. So learning from people and realizing that not everybody comes from the same place. I've talked to Pastor Ori, who has been
Ori's great.
Yeah, he's been just straight his whole life, walking this path.
He's such a cool dude.
Yeah, but I love talking to the people. Like last week, the episode that came out today with Pastor Annie from Desperation Church.
Oh yeah, he's my pastor.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm very proud of that. How did you keep him on track?
Oh, I just let him go.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, I didn't keep anything on track. He kept saying, "Is this okay to talk about?" It's like, just keep going.
Yeah, my DC family, you know exactly what I'm talking about when Pastor Andy talks. Whew.
Yeah, but it was interesting to me that he was telling a story that he went to church as a child and hated it, and thought, if heaven is going to be like church, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
You know, those kinds of stories from him, for him to come from that to being a pastor, and the passion that he has for bringing the love of Jesus to people, that change is just amazing to me. So a lot of people think that they're not worthy, that they're not as good as other people, and people that have been hurt by the church, you know, people that have never believed. I'm hoping that podcasts like this and like my podcast, that even if it's just one person, you know, that'll listen to that. And we'll say, well, you know, let me get around some of these people.
And I think where we have to be careful in, you know, doing what we do is, you mentioned earlier about being held accountable. You know, we can sit here and talk about, you know, with your podcast, with our podcast, we can sit here and say all these perfect things, but the truth is, if the greatest example we can be is by living them out.
Yeah.
And it's easy to speak on things and have an opinion of things, but you see so much especially in the Christian faith, where people love to talk about their faith in a selfish manner. But when you really, and not judging them, but when you it says, by your fruits you shall know them, it just doesn't match up with the conversations that they want to portray. So I believe that one of the key things for, you know, especially if you're going to be putting it out there for people, we have to live it.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to live it out.
Yeah.
But I believe, talking a little bit on the Christian faith thing and your journey and things like that with the podcast, there is so much, though, out there of this hypocrisy, you could say, and it scares people away. It makes people not want anything to do with it. So having a podcast like yours, where people are hearing from people that are not that you have a journey to their faith, and not in a sense, there's so many people that, like for me, I was kind of, I want to say born into it, because that's not the fact.
Almost
it's
inherited.
Inherited into it. It's easy for us to just live it, but for you and the people, you know, that you interview, it's a true life changing, and it has been for me as well. But later on in life, I'll admit it, that it was a time where it was more of a inherited thing. But until I realized the relationship with Jesus that I can have, the friendship that I can have with the Almighty God, and He wants that. And the only thing I have to give Him is my heart.
Right.
Nothing else. I can do all the works. I can try to do everything else, but all He really wants is my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And learning that developing that relationship is different for everybody.
Yeah. Amen.
Because you'll have people that are falling down on their knees, they got their hands up, you know, and you know, I used to think, oh, yeah, but that's a display, because I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel pressured into, I gotta raise my hands, I gotta do this. And I've realized that, you know, maybe someday I will, I don't know, but I don't raise my hands at a concert either. Right. I'm not a loud person. I don't yell and scream. You know, I'm very, you know, straight white. You know, I don't move. I just stand there and I can enjoy something without doing all that.
It's one of these things, like, you know, I was thinking while you were saying that everybody's different. I had a God moment in my kitchen last night. I was cooking for my lovely bride. I was making some spaghetti, something. I don't know what it was. I looked in the fridge and I'm like, okay, we got noodles, we got this. I can make this. Trying to dazzle her for the anniversary, on a budget. And so, but you know, I have an Alexa in my kitchen, and so when I'm in there cooking, like I'm like, hey Alexa, play my music, and a worship song came on. And I'm just, you know, I'm not even praying, not really paying attention to the song. And so like I'm cooking and I'm getting my everything done, and I'm getting an Uncrustable for my 2-year-old because that's what he wants, and he wants Uncrustable chocolate milk. Hey, you got it, brother. You know, and I realized, like, as I'm handing him stuff and I'm getting the plate ready for my wife and stuff, and just this overwhelming sense of Jesus' presence was there. And I was just like, and I just stopped, and I'm almost in tears, like, just in the moment of it. And I just felt like the Holy Spirit was like, you serving your family is worship to me. You know, and I'm getting choked up even thinking about it. But, you know, that's as simple as it gets sometimes.
Yeah.
Is understanding that as our faith, you ain't got to be in a worship center, you know, with the lights and the fog machine and all that stuff. And all that stuff's awesome and cool. And I love it. And I go to a church that's like that, so I'm not dogging on that. You don't have to go and sing out of the Redback hymnal. You can worship Jesus in every step of your life. It
Amen.
just takes you understanding that all he wants is that relationship with you. All he wants is you to say, hey, Jesus, I want you a part of me putting a staple in a piece of paper.
Every single thing.
I want you to be a part of me driving down the road. I want you to be a part of me going to the DMV. Lord, I need you more there than I need anywhere. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to be intentional with understanding that. And here's the coolest part, and I think this is where I struggled in my faith journey, is understanding that Jesus wants to be in that. Like, he's not burdened by my time.
Right.
Like, and so, but golly, we could probably do a whole nother podcast. I know I'm skipping around and stuff, but
well, I don't know if you've listened to Jordan Peterson before.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He made an analogy that I thought was so cool. He's talked about being a Christian is an adventure.
Yeah.
And it's an adventure because you don't know what's going to happen, but you live in that obedience, like you were talking about before, surrendering, and you get to live in your purpose and figure out what's going to be on the way. Yeah. And that's an adventure. Yeah. I really love that.
And I think, you know, we a lot of us are trying to get to something. You know, we're working for something. But the thing is, the journey there is what truly makes getting to the end result worth it. And never miss the journey, the steps. And even in your Christian life, as you are carrying out the purpose God has in your life, never miss the tough times. I know it sounds weird, but enjoy them.
Yeah.
Find enjoyment within it.
That's one of my favorite scriptures.
Yes.
Is Romans 5. Suffering.
Yeah. You find joy in suffering.
Yeah.
Just, that makes no sense to a non-believer.
Right.
Why would you find joy, in times of suffering? But if you can have that relationship with God, that's what's so beautiful, is them tough moments in life are filled with joy. I mean, and they are. That's the thing. It's hard to explain it unless you experience it.
Right.
And so, yeah, as we are in the journey of life, no matter where you are, just, take the moments and realize that, hey, God has me where I am right now. There's a reason for it. There's a purpose for it. And I'm going to just enjoy it no matter what.
Yeah.
No
and
matter
if you're
what.
skeptical, there's so many books for skeptics and podcasts for apologetics. And they explain everything to a point where it's like, you can't deny this anymore.
Yes.
And the Bible, it can't be a coincidence.
No.
It all ties in together.
Yeah,
so the more you learn about it, the more it's like, this is undeniable. And I love that book. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
Yeah.
I think so. And what it explains in there, I mean, you get to a point where you come to the other side of it, where you start arguing on the other side. It's like, this is true, this is real. And what you were talking about before, to showing your faith. Pastor Jerry, a couple months ago, I think he quoted this from somebody else, but I don't remember, so I'm just going to pretend it's his quote. he said, share the gospel as often as you can. If needed, use words.
Wow, that's good.
That's good.
Right?
That is great. That is great. And a lot of times we try to we feel like we need to say something. We need to be sharing the gospel is just speaking. It's our walk.
Yeah.
That's where we can. I believe that for especially people that are non-believers that want nothing to do with the faith, your words will not do much. It's your actions. It's the way you respond to situations that they see and say, that doesn't make sense. Why would they should be angry right now, but they're not.
Right.
How did they forgive? How could you forgive somebody that did that to you? Well, the truth is I couldn't, but the only way I can is because what Christ has done for me.
Yeah.
And that is the witness. It's not always the words that are said.
Right.
Like I know if I try to go share words, I stumble around myself, and I'm like, God, I think you just want me to just show it through my actions.
Yeah,
I think that's my mission.
Yeah, you watch enough of our episodes, me and Clinton have our share of trying to pronounce a word that we can't do.
Yes.
So
stumbling over ourselves, and we're just,
it's fine.
Two
and then
normal
you brought
people.
in a foreigner.
Yeah.
You know?
You talk better than us. So, but so let me ask you. So what's next for you and the Light podcast? Kind of what's coming up, or is anything exciting coming up?
Yeah. I kind of, take it day by day.
Yeah.
I'm in no way as prepared as y'all are, so I have a lot to learn from that. I just the podcast that came out today with Pastor Andy, from your church, and then I have Pastor Trish coming up from Daystar, and talking to Pastor Andrew, who will be on from Daystar as well.
Yep. Trish she's awesome.
Yeah, and I've noticed, pastors are very easy to interview.
They're pretty cool people.
They know what's up.
Yes.
But I just everybody you name, I can't wait to listen to Pastor Andy's. I'm probably gonna do that here in just a little bit. He cracks me up.
Yeah.
Like, he's so funny. We had a men's night a couple months ago, and there were no cameras, and there were no women on the room, and he may have overshared. Yeah, he talked about some stuff that guys talk about, and I'm like, can you say that? But and he's like, I don't know if I could say that on the stage, but he's like, I did it anyway, so what are they gonna say? But he's just great. But I'm really excited for you. So can you tell us, or tell our followers, where can they find you? Where can they get your content if they're interested in something like that?
Yeah, it's all on Spotify.
Okay.
It's called The Light Podcast. My name is Sam Crawford. Usually putting those together. You can find it. I share it on Facebook. My Facebook page is Samantha Crawford. So you can just add me on there. I share it on my Instagram, which is Sam from Amsterdam.
Okay. That'd be easy enough.
Very easy to find.
Yeah.
So I usually share them all on there. And I love interviewing the pastors, but the people that I've interviewed before that aren't pastors, that just like Valinda Salyers.
Yeah.
I worked with her for about a year, and she commented on one of the episodes for the podcast, and I thought, you know what, she'd be a good person to interview. I always looked up to her. She was always just. I worked at the hospital, and so her dealings with the patients and the way that she loved on them was just amazing to me, because the patients weren't always very nice, and she just always was very nice back. She used to be a teacher, all this stuff, and I interviewed her, and it was crazy to me the direction that the podcast went into that I didn't even know about, because her mom had her when she was 15. So it was whenever everybody was talking about abortion and stuff, and she had such a personal relationship to that, because she said everybody talks about 15-year-old, if accidentally gets pregnant, if something happens, it would be best if that 15-year-old gets an abortion.
Yeah.
And I always thought that too, growing up without religion or anything. And she said, but what if she did? She has children now. She has grandchildren. She has this beautiful life. she wouldn't have had to have all that if her mom had had an abortion.
Yeah.
So just different interviews like that with people. It's I really was searching for people with a specific testimony, and I realized that every single person has a testimony that's worth sharing.
Absolutely. Well, that's the Bible's clear on that we overcome by confessing our sins and sharing our testimony.
Amen.
The word of our testimony. And so testimonies are powerful, and but we're just, gosh, what a great episode.
I know. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I will admit, I know Corey here is probably going to, after this episode's over, he's going to look at me and say, "Why have you not spoken more?" But let me just tell you this: I've enjoyed it. I've sat here, I've listened, and Samantha, thank you. I appreciate you coming on here. Sometimes we go down these rabbit trails of business so much that it's refreshing to kind of step out of that just a smidge and really go deeper into why we do what we do.
Yeah.
And your journey is an inspiration. And I hope that our listeners and anybody out there, if you're in this country, outside of this country, and you want to come to America, whatever that's like, it's possible. It can happen. You can do it. It takes.
Don't cross the border though.
Not
do it the right way.
Do it the right way. and the proof, she's proof that you can do it the right way.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that out for whoever so will. But Samantha or Sam, I'll call you Sam. That's
Either
what you go by. It's inspiration to me to your journey to your faith, and I think people need to go check out our podcast.
I agree.
I think they do. So listeners, go do that. Go check her out. I think you'll be inspired. It sounds like there's a lot of great pastors on there and things like that can make a big impact in your life. And if you don't believe in God, do what she did. Just pick up the Bible. And I wanted to touch on something. I'm just going to say this really quick. Isn't it so awesome that you don't have to have somebody to interpret the Word of God for you?
Yeah.
That the Spirit just does it for you. And
right.
You said that every question that you had, somehow you got an answer to it. That's the God we serve.
Yeah.
And that's why it's proof that He is the way. He is the truth. And He is the way to heaven.
Yeah.
And our prayer here on our podcast is that each person listening to this, if you haven't had that experience with Christ, that you will, because I promise you will never regret it. You will never regret it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just super thankful. You're here. You told your story. I'm thankful for your story.
Mm-hmm.
Your story's impactful and it matters.
Yes.
And so if you've encouraged two rednecks from Alabama, and I think you're going to encourage a lot more people as you go. And so as we close and everything, I want you to know we're in your corner. We're rooting for you, and go be the light.
Yes.
So
thanks. I appreciate y'all having me. This has been awesome.
Yes.
Learning a lot.
Yes. Good deal. Well, viewers, we hope you got just a ton out of this podcast. Remember to share it, like it, subscribe, all those good things that just tell us that you got something out of this. Leave us a comment. Let us know that you got something. Maybe you have a question. And always, we're trying to get more feedback from you guys. So if you have an idea, you say, hey, guys, I want y'all to talk about something, leave us a comment, and we'd love to try to get that scheduled on a future episode.
Absolutely. We say it all the time. We would love to have some people that listen to it all the time just come on. So reach out. There's an email at the bottom of, I think it's on YouTube,
yep.
And our producer Sean will connect you or get connected with you. And if you have questions just about life, man, we would love to sit and chat with you. Let's be very clear. We are just normal people. We are nothing special. At all. We're normal people saved by the grace of God.
Yep.
Let's go with that.
I put cereal in a bowl first, and then I pour milk over it.
Yes.
I'm very normal.
Yes, and so just go be great. I want to encourage each person listening, go be great. You can, man, I every day that I do this, I'm humbled at the support that we've received, because I mean, like we said, we're just normal people that somehow people have attached to and have listened, and it's an encouragement to us that y'all are doing this, and we just pray that God will use each word we speak for His honor and glory, and that He will receive all honor and glory. So,
and the only difference between me and Clinton and where you are in your life is we said yes to God's plan a little bit earlier.
yes, amen to that.
So,
Amen to that. So, yeah, guys, I appreciate y'all listening. We are going to close this episode out. We got another great episode coming up next 2 weeks from now, I guess it is, with some great young business guys from Warrior, Alabama, and we're going to have a great conversation with them as well. So stay tuned. Come back and get ready for that. I think we will have another live coming up, hopefully this month at some point. Yeah. We love some lives because
love a live.
We can interact directly with y'all, and so it's Sean, make that happen, please, sir. I enjoy that every time we do it.
I may even sing for y'all live.
Yeah, let's hear it. I would love to listen to that. So, but yeah, as we close this episode out, we just want to say thank y'all again for listening. Go be great, and always lead with a purpose. God bless y'all. Guys, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on Yoders Talk today. We hope that you heard something that you can apply to your life and make your life better and a more positive impact on those around you.
If you like what you heard, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, and please share to others. You can also find our content on Spotify, Facebook, and TikTok.
We're excited also to bring you some new merch this season. Click the link below and you can go there and find you some awesome, great quality t-shirts, hats, hoodies, whatever you see there, and hopefully you can truly enjoy that. But without further ado, I want to leave this with you. Always lead with a purpose. God bless you.